Starting off the show right with new Paleface Swiss, Let Me Sleep. What is happening? It is Peaches here on this fine hump day. I almost forgot what day it was. Yeah, Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. This morning I spent a good chunk of time putting all of the episodes that weren't online now available on demand wherever you get your podcasts. I had to make sure yesterday's episode went out there for everyone to listen to, and I even titled it making fun of the quote-unquote world-famous KROQ in Los Angeles, one of the worst radio stations out there. Can't call yourselves KROQ if you don't play any, you know? It's more so K-Sissy Alternative. I'm sure there could be a shorter name for it, but that's predominantly what they play. Sissy Alternative, and then that reggae rock like Sublime 311, Red Hot Chili Peppers, etc. If you want to get a hold of me, you can over at 208-535-1015. Make sure to sign up for Make the Switch with Brent Gordon Law. Put yourself in the drawing for the Nintendo Switch 2 bundle. Sign up once per app, the K-Bear app, the Alt app, the Cannonball 101 app. You get 3 entries that way. And then at any point this afternoon, there will be the Mario sounder that you can listen out for and be caller 13 when you hear that sounder in order to win an extra entry into the drawing. Now, I'm working on a video right now. That food tray that I bought that I was so very excited for because I eat my lunch in my car. I like to just be by myself on my lunch break, get away from this building for a little bit. So I eat my lunch in my car, enjoy my food there. I bought myself a food tray that attaches to the steering wheel, and I thought it would be this very handy thing, but no, it sucked. It really sucked. The instructions for it were stupid. You'll see what I mean on our socials at KBear101 FM. My experience trying to get it onto my steering wheel and all of that. Peaches Pit Party will continue here in just a few on KBear 101. So you quit a job and you decide I'm owed something more, and you take something from the job site with you, right? This one woman, after 3.5 years of working at this particular business, she just quits, resigns, and says, hey, you know what? I'm taking my office desk chair with me. And she took it. Doesn't say here if she got in trouble or not. I'm assuming the company was like, oh, well, that's it. You know, there's not much you can do. Unless you have a really petty company and they charge you for stealing. I don't know. I truly don't. But it just had me thinking about the whole chair war that's going on here, where Josh and Chantel from Classy 97, I don't know why they were the first to get new chairs in their studio. Viktor's been complaining about this particular seat for I don't know how long, too long. And I think Josh's chair from Classy 97, his completely broke as he was sitting in it. So him and Chantel both got brand new chairs, I believe, provided by the company. Now, this got Viktor really upset. And Josh and Chantel have been sort of rubbing it in our faces now. Viktor's been talking about this stupid chair. He keeps blaming me for breaking it when I'm just sitting in this chair. And if I hear one more person try to blame me for this chair, I'm going to go WWE style on them with this chair because it's not my fault. I'm just sitting in it. You know, I'm just sitting here doing my thing. It's not my fault. Like they're bad quality chairs. Hence why everyone's chair in the building was not working well. Classy 97, Josh and Chantel, they're not big people, and their chairs completely just broke out from under them. You can imagine giant me trying to sit on this chair, just doing my thing, and then I tune into the morning show and I hear Viktor blaming me for supposedly breaking this chair. I'm hoping we can get some sort of just, little Tyke's chair for him, because, he's rather small. Get me one of those chairs that could fit somebody who's as big as me. Yeah, there's that. And then I heard the big boss man this morning sort of teasing me, saying how we're going to get a chair big enough for Peaches. You might as well just bring in a full-on couch. Anyway, here's Turnstile, Never Enough on KBear 101. I'm glad that I didn't have to put in any effort for my Halloween costume this year. I got to give a major shout out to my girlfriend for doing so. She has been going back and forth to the DI, trying to find me some nice dress pants that are real cheap for the costume. We're doing this 1920s style party type thing. And I was given, basically it's ran by my girlfriend's brother and his wife and that whole thing. So it's, each person is given a character. They have to dress up as that character. Again, it's 1920s theme. So they had me become this musician, even though I've hardly ever played any instrument. I've played the drums. I played the drums for like 3 months, 4 months, learned a little bit of Enter Sandman, and that was pretty much it. Wanted to learn how to play the guitar, tried using the app, got some basics down, but it wasn't necessarily all that crazy. Learned the piano in 2020 just for a tad bit, but then that app was all like, hey, your free trial has ended. Do you want to spend $100 a year? And I just went, nope, and stopped playing then. So, yeah, but I'm dressing up as some guy that they made up named Louie Blue Notes Callahan or something like that, you know? So I had to get a fedora, a vest, a whole dress shirt, dress pants. Again, thank you to my girlfriend for putting this costume all together. I haven't had time really to do anything. And I know all the Halloween parties are coming up. That's the thing you do on Halloween as an adult is you just go to a party, and that's literally it. If you have kids, you take them trick-or-treating or you take them to those, what I hate, those trunk-or-treat events. Oh, I did a whole rant on those too. I truly despise trunk-or-treat. Call me old-fashioned, call me a boomer for thinking that. I think Halloween should only happen on October 31st, and kids should go door to door, get candy, and that's it. There's no need to all gather in a parking lot, get from the trunks of cars, but, you know, that's just me. That's just me. Anyway, I'm excited to dress up as this 1920s jazz musician type character. I think Maddie from across the hall, she's going all out. She's dressing up as a founding father, which I'm very excited to see. She's the same height as James Madison, so I'm assuming she's choosing him. I personally don't know when I'm going to try to vacation internationally to a place like Italy, Sweden, Switzerland, etc. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'll make sure to avoid all of these things, even though they'll probably tell real fast that I am an American tourist, you know. I saw this question, what's something you didn't realize was very American until you left the United States? Feeling the need to have a car and driving everywhere instead of walking or using public transportation. I know my friend Hunter, he's huge onto public transportation. And the last thing that I want to do after work is get on a bus with a whole bunch of people and have to ride that for 40 minutes to my place because there's all those stops on the way. Oh, having to deal with the subway in New York and people getting in your face talking about, you know, do you have a bite to eat? I would always get asked that question in New York. Do you have a bite to eat? Like, yeah, all of a sudden I have this double cheeseburger in my pocket. Here you go, buddy. Asking for ice and beverages. Now, what do? Just give you lukewarm soda? Room temperature soda? There are those room temperature water elitists. And I myself love ice cold water. I will never, ever go away from that. Eating meals quickly instead of taking your time on this list here of what's something you didn't realize was very American until you left the United States. I'm a fast eater. What can I say? Unfortunately, I am. My dad was the same way. He told me not to become this, and sure enough, I did, stupidly, just start eating fast. I like to just sit there, eat the food, not say a word, and then when I'm done eating, that's when I start talking to people. And this one right here kind of, I don't know, I kind of like but also dislike at the same time, talking to everybody and starting conversations with random strangers. So you're telling me that if you just walk up to some random person over in, I don't know, Italy, start talking to them, they'll get all mad? Well, I think Italy's pretty friendly. I think it's France that people say, hey, don't try to speak French unless you really know the language. Italians will try to correct you if you say anything, if you mispronounce anything. That's the thing. But I don't really talk to just random people. Like, I just like to do my own thing, you know? Talking loudly, always a dead giveaway. Not necessarily the loudest talker, but I can be if I want to. Especially if the person says what like 3 times. That's when I start doing my robotic voice to make sure they hear me clearly. Tipping at restaurants. It's not just done in many countries and servers. It's just not done in many countries and servers don't expect it except from Americans. Now, there's a lot of places here in the U.S. as a whole where they just accept a tip, or they expect a tip, I should say, for some odd reason. Like if you go to like a soda shop, they're always like, hey, do you want a tip? And then if you say no, they kind of lose their positive attitude and go, oh, okay, here's your drinks, thanks. The whole tipping thing, the whole pressuring into tip is so annoying. Really, I wish we can get away from that. It's Daughtry now with The Bottom on K-Bear 101. The Los Angeles Angels are bringing back a familiar face, Kurt Suzuki, their former catcher, to manage the team this time. After 16 seasons behind the plate for multiple teams, Suzuki beat out big names like Albert Pujols and Torrey Hunter for the gig. He'll replace Ron Washington, whose contract wasn't renewed following health issues. It's a big opportunity for Suzuki, who spent the final years of his playing career with the Angels and now gets to call the shots from the dugout. Kurt Suzuki, fellow Cal State Fullerton alumni right there. The Texas A&M football team just made SEC history, but not the kind you brag about. The Aggies, they were slapped with a $50,000 fine because defensive back Tyreek Chappell sat down mid-game with no contact, and a coach had a coach signaling from the sideline. The move was flagged as a clear attempt to stop the clock without burning a timeout. The SEC called it a clear attempt to gain an unmerited advantage and warned that future flops could lead to suspensions. WNBA players are about to see a well-earned boost in their paychecks, according to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, with the current collective bargaining agreement set to expire on Halloween. Silver said players are going to get a big increase, and they deserve it. Right now, WNBA athletes receive just 9.3% of league revenue, which is far less than NBA players who get nearly 50%, 50. As negotiations heat up, we'll see how all the revenue sharing and all the salaries shake out. That does it for your Shot Clock Sports Update right here on K-Bear 101. The latest from Lamb of God, Sepsis, It's Peach's Pip Party on K-Bear 101. Let's talk about dating. No, I'm not going to turn into one of those dating shows. You know, a lot of morning shows out there, all they talk about is just dating. The L&K morning show that I used to be an intern for, that's all they talk about. If there wasn't relationships, if there wasn't any, if you took away dating from their whole thing, like if you said, hey, tomorrow you can't talk about dating or celebrity news, they would not have a show. That's all that it is. Kevin Bacon did this. Who cares? So here's a question, though. What's a red flag you happily ignored because the person was hot? Should we go through some of these answers here? Why not? It's a slow news day. There was some political stuff popping up. There's no way I'm ever talking about politics on my show. The first response to this question, in separate conversations, she told me her brother was a narcissist. Her mother was also a narcissist. Her father was a narcissist. And her ex was a narcissist. Guess how she ended up behaving? Let me guess. Narcissist here. Here's another answer. He thought dinosaurs weren't real. Something about museums trying to sell tickets. My brain just went full dial-up mode, but the man was built like a Greek god, so I figured I could teach him about Jurassic Park later. I could not. Have you ever dealt with somebody that gives you such an ignorant, stupid take that you just like completely shut your brain off? You hear like that trigger phrase, that trigger word even, and you just immediately disconnect from that conversation because you don't want to entertain such stupidity? That's what I feel like with some people. Most people. I'll hear like that one thing, I'll be like, okay, that's enough. Can't talk about this particular thing with this person, you know? What's a red flag you happily ignored because the person was hot? She said, you shouldn't date me. You will eventually grow to resent me and hate me. I told her that wasn't true, but guess what? It was. I don't know. I don't know why she was so open about it, but I guess you learn. That's the thing you got to know is you learn through those mistakes and you eventually fix those mistakes, or you don't look for these types of people in the future. There's that. All right, enough of that stupid thing. Our K-Bear Rockin' Halloween continues with Juice City Vapor, Diamante, It's Haunted. I'm a simple man. I see the phrase mushroom-powered outhouse, and I become intrigued. So I decided to look into this article. Scientists at the University of British Columbia, they developed a root system of mushrooms to create a composting toilet that is odor absorbing while creating over 500 gallons of fertilizer and 150 gallons of compost each year. It's called the Myco toilet. This thing needs maintenance just 4 times a year, magically just takes care of the mess, eliminating 90% of the odor causing compounds. Pretty neat, right? I think it is. I've had a lot of issues with that toilet in my apartment. I'm so glad that the old one got replaced. My bathroom still is the worst room in my apartment. Do I really want to update it? You know, here's the dilemma that I'm in. My apartment is not necessarily the best. Not necessarily in the best area of town either. It does get rather annoying when people are like, oh, you live on the ghetto side of Idaho Falls. You don't know what the real ghetto is. The ghetto side of Idaho Falls. Come on. That's like saying the worst part of a high-end... I forget it. Forget that comparison. Let's just move on from that whole thing. But anyway, I'm afraid that if I keep sending in maintenance requests, I feel like either the landlord will be petty or the maintenance guy will hate me even more so. And all of a sudden my rent just magically gets increased and I get that dumb letter in the mail that says, we find it necessary to increase your rent. Isn't that terrible? We find it necessary. You know, we talked about it earlier about the one time I received an email where the person said, unacceptable answer. I'm not going to name who that was, but they know who they are. But I could only imagine replying back with that. Just unacceptable email. Take it back. That type of thing. But I desperately want to just send in a whole bunch of maintenance requests for my bathroom for things to be replaced. But then they have to do that stupid thing where they have someone, come over. I have to be there. So I have to step out of my busy workday to watch some guy that smells like a pack of cigarettes to then fix something in my bathroom. I feel like I might just have to suffer through the disgusting place and then eventually move out of there and go to some place better. As part of our K-Bear Rockin' Halloween, haunted by Juicity Vapor. I don't know if you say it, if you pronounce it like Goulet or just Ghoulie. Goulet, Zombie Queen from Ghost right there. Speaking of Halloween, there was this question that popped up. What's a horror movie that has made you cry? And I can't necessarily think of anything horror related that has made me cry. I've watched plenty of other movies that have brought a tear to my eye, like Click with Adam Sandler, when he's seeing his dad at a very old age. You know, he goes into the future, sees the last time that his grandpa ever said anything to him before his grandpa passes away. It gets me every time. Even just thinking about it almost makes me want to cry here in studio. And then the whole movie is supposed to be a comedy. And my family and I go to the theater expecting, some good old Adam Sandler fun, but that movie ended up being such an emotional roller coaster. Plus, I was embarrassed because there was a lot of crude jokes made during the movie, and I was like, 10 at the time. I was very young. But here we go. I'm going down the list here of horror movies that could potentially make someone cry, starting off with The Babadook from 2014. Haven't seen it, been wanting to. A brutal depiction of grief and motherhood wrapped in a monster story. The ending wrecks people emotionally. All right. At least I'm prepared for that. So that way when me and the girlfriend watch it, she'll be the one bawling her eyes out and I'll be the one like, oh, I expected that. Now, number 2, it says Hereditary. I already watched that movie. Oh, it's not that scary, nor is it like really anything to me. It's one of those artsy-fartsy films that I just don't really care for. I ended up laughing at some parts of it just because it's just funny. The Others from 2001 on this list here of horror movies that can make somebody cry. The slow realization of what's really happening is both haunting and tragic. Haven't even heard of that movie. I'll add that to the list of to be watched. The Sixth Sense, that's on this list here. The emotional weight of the final scenes hit harder than the scares. Now, I haven't seen that movie, and the only reason why I haven't seen it is because I think at a very young age it was spoiled for me. And then there was all these film classes where we went into deep detail about it. And so I feel like I've already watched it without watching it, you know? It really sucks going to college as a film major or cinema and television arts major, because if you haven't seen most of these movies, they just get ruined for you by another student doing a PowerPoint presentation. That, and then you're also forced to watch these just downright stupid movies. And you know how like people interpret books in English class, like, oh, he described the dresser as blue because he's feeling sad, but in reality, the author was just describing the dresser as blue because he wanted you to see the color of the dresser. It's kind of like in movies, like when it's overcast, it's supposed to be sad, but when it's sunny out, it's rainy. Notice the tone change and all of that. I really just want to watch a movie and watch it for the story. I don't care for in-depth crap like that. I'll save this list, though. I'll probably, if anybody wants the full, complete list of horror movies that could make you cry, I can save it here and send it to anybody who sends me a message saying, hey, can I have that list? You can just send me a direct DM or send it on the K-Bear page as well at KBear 101 FM. Okay, I just refreshed my Facebook feed, and this headline popped up. Suzanne Summers' widower built AI twin of late actress. Did he build like a full-on robot of Suzanne Summers? Wait a minute. Is he just like turning pictures alive and watching it that way? Is that what he's doing? I thought he built, like, you know, Walt Disney has a full-on animatronic, like there's a full-on robot of Walt Disney. Also, if you go to Disneyland, you can watch this very lifelike Abraham Lincoln robot give a speech, and it's quite impressive, really. Suzanne Summers, Alan Hamill, the widower of Suzanne Summers, has taken the idea of being a wife guy to a new level, is what it says here at Consequence. 2 years after her death, he's turned to AI in an extreme effort to keep her memory alive. In an interview with People, Hamill opened up about working with the company Realbotics to recreate Summers' likeness. So is he actually making a whole robot? Oh, yeah, he is. He described the robot doll modeled after Summers' Three's Company character, Chrissy Snow, as perfect. I asked her a few questions. She answered them, and it blew me away and everybody else. Wow. We're really reaching that part of the future here where, like, if your wife or husband dies, you can just be like, hey, if you've got the money, you can just make a realistic doll, wow. I mean, at least you're still in love with that person, right? You don't just quickly move on to somebody else. Is this somehow worse? It almost feels like, you know, Static X with Edsel Dope dressing up as a robot of Wayne Static. Even though Wayne Static has passed away, Edsel Dope is still dressing up as a similar robotic character to Wayne Static. That was kind of creepy, but it's more acceptable than this. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. Let's move on to a track here for our K-Bear Rockin' Halloween playlist, Haunted by Jew City Vapor, Rob Zombie Halloween, She Gets So Mean. All right, I just want to tell you the big news. Snapple, they have announced that glass bottles are returning to stores this month. Apparently, that was a big deal. You know why I say apparently? When was the last time you bought a Snapple? Has it been in the last month? I don't think so. I can't tell you the last time I bought myself a Snapple or even drank one. Just a couple years ago, maybe? I don't know. When was the last time I had a Snapple? Also, when was the last time I had a Snapple in a glass bottle? I got this article from Barstool Sports saying that, yeah, Snapple announced that glass bottles are returning to stores this month. Has the official Snapple page posted anything? Oh, I think I see something here. Wait a minute. Where did it go? Iconic glass bottles return. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Here's the catch. In tinier text on the bottom, only in New York for a limited time. Wow. That's a dream crusher right there. You're telling me I have to buy a Snapple and then pour it in my own glass bottle? I mean, the glass bottles were cool. Don't get me wrong. They had like the weird messages on the bottom of the cap, right? only in New York for a limited time. Does that mean they're going to see how they do in New York and then maybe go nationwide afterwards? I don't know, nor do I really care all that much. I'm just joking. I'm being sarcastic here. I mean, Snapple in a glass bottle, yippee, you know? Woo! All right, Mammoth Wolfgang Van Halen right now with The Spell on KBR 101. There was a bizarre international smuggling ring that was broken up at the airport in Tokyo when authorities intercepted 3 women wearing underwear loaded with $650,000 worth of gold powder. Authorities say the operation was led by this man who is accused of recruiting 3 women in their 20s and 30s to carry the gold on a flight from Hong Kong to Tokyo. Investigators say the women, who all knew each other, were promised cash and travel expenses in exchange for their role. The gold-filled underwear was allegedly handed to them in Hong Kong. All 3 women and the mastermind of the operation were arrested and charged. I like what's called gold briefs. Wouldn't that kind of itch? Gold powder right there. In between your, never mind. I'm not going to go into detail about this. But that does it for today's What the Headline right here on K-Bear 101. I thought I was the worst neighbor possible. I don't know if I talked about it on the air or not, but I complained to the landlord about the upstairs neighbor brushing their dog, and all that dog hair was coming down onto my patio. And it was happening for multiple weeks. And then funny enough, shortly after that, all of a sudden I come home one day and there's a plant right there at my front door with a little note. Same with the person next to me. They also received a little plant, a little note. So they don't know if it was me or my next door neighbor, but if they listen to K-Bear, I apologize. Well, I'm not like this woman, this Washington, D.C. woman. She was sick and tired of smelling marijuana smoke wafting up from her downstairs neighbor, so she took him to court to get him to stop and won. Her name, oh my gosh, how do you say her name? Josefa Ippolito Shepard. She's 76 years old. Josefa, wow, that's a unique name. I like it, though. Said the smell, which she compared to skunk, coming from Thomas Cackett's ground floor apartment, made her sick. And it made it very hard for her to be in her home, so she sued and won. A court ruled that Cackett could no longer smoke in his own apartment. The judge said that his use and enjoyment of his marijuana is not as important as Shepard's use and enjoyment of her own property. Wow. Yikes. And Cackett argued to the court that he only did that once a day, never for longer than 5 minutes. He insisted, "I am not Snoop Dogg." I like that defense. Here's Hardy with Jim Bob on KBR 101. I was chatting off the air with loyal listener Micah. He was telling me that he has some friends or family out in Germany, so he was sending them some video of the Heisey Hot Spring sign in the surrounding area, and he didn't realize that his phone, when he was recording, was still playing the K-Bear app in the background, so I was talking the entire time he was showing the beautiful area of Idaho. And, well, now some people in Germany have now heard Peach's Pit Party, and I'm sure there are people in other countries who are streaming us via the K-Bear 101 app internationally, which is awesome. It's really cool to see that map whenever Viktor or Jade pulls it up to see where people are streaming K-Bear from. It's quite cool. If you're streaming us from out of state, send us a message through the app. It'll be cool. Make sure to also download the app if you haven't done so. Like if you're listening to us via your computer right now or your radio, and you're like, wait a minute, K-Bear has an app? Even though they've mentioned it thousands of times by now? Yes, K-Bear has an app. You can listen to us anywhere. You can also do many other things with the K-Bear app, like the shortcut to the concert calendar. There's shortcuts to enter contests, like Make the Switch with Brent Gordon Law. Make sure to sign up for that to win the Nintendo Switch 2 bundle. We'll be drawing a winner for that on Halloween. Very excited for how our Halloween playlist is going to sound this year. Next Friday, October 31st, nonstop Halloween music, all thanks to Juice City Vapor. Thanks for listening to Peach's Pit Party, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. Peach's Pit Party is hosted by me, Peaches, a.k.a. Brendan Peach, and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com. Until next time, Peach out.